Okay, in this video, we are going to talk about mixture problems, tactics, and strategies. You can find many different approaches to mixture problems online or in different textbooks or from various teachers. This is the one that I prefer. Our source today is AMC8 Prep by Sam Chen. You can find it on Amazon. It's relatively good material for AMC8 Prep, but mostly if you have a tutor to go through it with you. Example 17, 30 ounces of vinegar with a strength of 30% was mixed with 50 ounces of a 20% vinegar solution. What was the percent of the resulting solution? Okay, my tactic primarily is to use this chart. And the chart is set up exactly what it says. AMT is amount times percent equals amount. This is, why is there two amounts? This is an impure amount, so it's got like part vinegar, part water, and this is a pure amount, so it's only the vinegar content of that solution. Sol 1 is solution 1, solution 2, and the mixture. This chart will solve about 95% or maybe more of all mixture problems. I rely on it every time I have to do a mixture problem. Let's explore how it works. Solution 1 is the first thing they talk about. 30 ounces, that's the impure amount. Of a 30%, with a strength of 30%, you're going to put a decimal, 0.3. You can put the 0 if you want, it doesn't affect anything. Was mixed with 50 ounces of a 20, so if we have 50 ounces, this is the second solution, and it's 20% vinegar. What's the mixture? First, do what it says, amount times percent. So 30% of 3. Again, in my other video, I talk about how to calculate percents quickly. This just means 3 times 10%, and 10% is a decimal place. So 3 times 3 is 9, 2 times 5 is 10. Once that's done, let's go to this column. The first column you will always add. 30 plus 50 is equal to 80. That's what we have in our mixture. The last column will always add. So it's 19. Finally, the percents never add. Never add percents. It doesn't work that way. So we're trying to find this. When you're looking for an unknown percent, my preference is P over 100. You can't really use a decimal. I guess you could just put a variable in. But I like P over 100 because P is the answer when you get it. So 80 over 100, you multiply across. 80 over 100 is 4/5. So I can say 4/5 of P equals 19. Multiply by 5 to get 95, divide by 4, or just multiply by the reciprocal, it does the same thing. 4P equals 95, and P will equal 23.75%. Okay, I will switch to a different problem now. Okay, so continuing on. This is example 18. By the way, this is from chapter 6 of his text. Sam Chen's book. How many liters? So right away, how many liters? Do we know? We don't know. How many? We have to put a variable. So your solution 1, we don't know. We're going to put X. Of a 20% alcohol solution, you put 0.2. Again, the zeros are just, they don't really matter. Must be added to 90 liters. So we're adding again to 90 liters. That one we know. Of a 50% solution, pause here and multiply across. Just do exactly what the rule above your table says. It says amount times percent equals amount. So 0.2x is 0.2x. 50% of 90 is half. That's 45. The mixture will be you add down x plus 90. You never add down. How are we going to get this? We'll talk about it. In this one, you can add down. Actually, I'm going to leave this for a second. How we get this is, go back to the problem. It says to form, that's the mixture. You're forming the mixture of 45% solution, so this will be 0.45. Instead of adding this, I'm going to multiply across this time and get 0.45 times x plus 90. You don't have to actually multiply it in your head right away or anything. Just leave it like this for a second, and let's make our equation. Our equation is made with the final column. It's this plus this equals this. So we write 0.2x plus 45 equals 0.45 times x plus 90. Again, when we get x, we get the answer. Not all problems are that way, but this one is. I don't like decimals. Many people don't. I prefer integers. So let's multiply by 100. 100 times this is 20x plus 45 times 100. I'm not writing it as 4,500 for a reason. I already know what's going to happen, and you'll see what that is as it develops. Multiplying by 100 here is 45 times x plus 90. Don't forget, when you're multiplying a product of two things by a third thing, 100 in this case, you don't multiply both numbers. You just multiply one of them. So this becomes 20x plus 45 times 100 equals 45x plus 45 times 90. And this is a principle of competition math. Never calculate anything until you have to. It's not that hard to calculate 45 times 90. Many of you can do it mentally, but there's a distinct advantage to waiting a little bit. So we're going to move 20x over here to get 25x, and the 45 times 90 over here to subtract 45 times 90. Now, if you can see what's about to happen, we're going to take 45 times 100 and subtract 45 times 90. That means you can factor out the 45, and you'll have 100 minus 90, which is 10 times 45, which is 450, equals 25x. Lastly, you're going to divide by 25. Think of it like quarters and $4.50. How many quarters make a dollar? 4. $4 would be 16 quarters, and 2 more quarters to make 50 cents means x equals 18. Let's write that nicer. Okay, next problem coming up. Okay, continuing on, this is example 19. How many ounces of pure acid should be added? So don't read the whole thing. I like to read and process as I go. Pure acid, what does that mean? It's 100% acid. Some problems will say pure water or something else. Ounces of pure acid, so we don't know, it's X, but this time the purity percent is 100, which you just write as 1. 100% is 1. Should be added to 120 ounces. So we have 120 ounces as the other one of a 20% solution. We write 0.2, distribute across x. 0.2 times 120 is, again, 10% of 120 is 12, and 20% is 2 10%, so it's 24. You could also have thought of it as 1/5 of 120 is 24. Now for the mixture part. Again, you add the first column, x plus 120. Add the last column, or you can wait and do it later. That's what I'm going to do. The purity percent, what are we trying to get? To obtain, that means the mixture you're making, a 40% solution. That's 0.4. I'm going to distribute back this way. This time I'm going to multiply it out right now. 0.4x plus 48. Again, 10% of 120 is 12, so 40% is 4 of those. 4 times 12 is 48. The last thing you'll do is make your equation. Again, this chart is a magic bullet. Use it correctly, it will generate a solvable equation every time that you can use to get your answer. X plus 24 equals 0.4x plus 48. Now we're going to move the 0.4 over to get 0.6x, move the 24 over to get 24. You can multiply by 10, you'll get 6x equals 24 times 10. Divide by 6 to get x equals 4 times 10. 40 ounces is the answer. We'll go to the next problem. All right, so we have here example 20. A chemist needs a 15% alcohol solution. Pause. He needs this. He doesn't have it, he needs it. That's the mixture we're trying to get. So we're going to put 15% in the mixture part of it for the percent. And he has only a 60% solution. So he has something that's 60%. We can put 0.6. How much water should be added? Now this is a twist on the previous problems. Now it's water we're adding, not a solution really of some kind. You can modify it to call this water if you want. Now, if you think about it, we're talking about the percentage of alcohol in the solution. What percent of water is alcohol? Luckily, 0. So it's going to be 0%. Always have to think about those kinds of things. How much water? That's what it wants to know. We should put X right here. Okay, that's the thing we're trying to find. Again, you have to introduce variables. It's not going to tell you to do so. Should be added to obtain, again, obtain is what you want to receive, 10 liters. So that's the mixture, 10, of the weaker solution. Now, some books and some people will tell you to put y right here. And you can do that if you want. You should get to a point where you know that if y plus x equals 10, that y equals 10 minus x. And then simply avoid putting the y and just put the 10 minus x. A quick check, 10 minus x plus x does equal 10. So it works out. Okay, then you're going to go over here and multiply directly across by the formula you wrote at the top of the chart. Impure times percent equals amount. 10 minus x times 0.6, distribute to get 6 minus 0.6x. 60% of 10 is 6. 0%, 0 times x, it's ox, or 0. 15% of 10, 10% is 1, half of that is 0.5, so 1.5 to get 10% plus 5%. Last thing we'll do is use the final column to make an equation. 6 minus 0.6x plus 0, so we just disregard it, equals 1.5. Move the 1.5 over here to where it's positive to get 4.5 and the 0.6 over there to get 0.6x. You don't like decimals, great, no one does. Multiply by 10, 45 equals 6x. Divide by 6 on both sides. 3 goes into this to get 15 over 2 equals x, and that is 7.5. So 7.5, what liters is the answer of how much water you need? Now, we didn't even get told what goes in solution 1. It could also ask us how much of the solution should be used combined with the water, and then that would simply be 2.5 ounces. This is a collection of a few mixture problems. I hope it helps you to attack mixture problems in an easier way in the future.